Professor Kamel Hawwash joins me, Palestinian writer and analyst. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Sheila. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. What's your response to this announcement from Greater Manchester Police and the Metropolitan Police?
I must say, I only just heard it, so I've been reflecting myself. And the first thing I think we should ask is, you talked about the context. The context is an 8-year oppression of the Palestinian people, a long-term occupation of Palestine, my homeland, my country, the mistreatment of Palestinians, imprisonment, the killing of children, and more recently, the genocide. And people would question the term, but the genocide that has gone on in Gaza. And Israel's continued killing after what is a ceasefire of Palestinian people, the continued destruction, and the desire by Israel to push the Palestinians out.
Do you accept, just on that, do you accept that the Israelis aren't the only people continuing killing in Gaza?
They are the only people continuing killing.
No, they're not. Hamas are killing people in Gaza.
How many people has Hamas killed?
I don't have numbers on either side to give you at the moment.
It hasn't. It hasn't.
Hamas isn't killing people in Gaza.
But no, it's not. It's adhering to the ceasefire terms. We're talking about the ceasefire terms, and it is Israel that's continuing to do it. Please do check afterwards. We are talking about, and that's what it's doing in Lebanon. Remember,
I'll say the same to you.
Remember, no, in Lebanon, it's decided the ceasefire, and it's been killing people while the other side has not done the same thing. And this is some of the misconceptions. And what drives people to go out on demonstrations in the UK, which have been absolutely enormous. I estimate that 10 million people have been out on demonstrations.
Yeah,
there have been over 30
right.
demonstrations.
Yeah,
with about 300,000. And they are out to stand with the Palestinian people and to try and change the view of our government. Can I just say something about the origin of the term? Because that's also important. So, intifada, I obviously speak Arabic. It means uprising, but it's an uprising by Palestinians against the Israeli state. Okay, let's understand that. And why is there an uprising? Again, because of the occupation, because of the oppression. That's why there's an uprising. So, and the first uprising, the first intifada was completely peaceful. And you may remember seeing Israeli army breaking the bones of Palestinians. That's the way they responded to the peaceful.
Can I come in and say something? I absolutely hear what you say about the plight of the Palestinian people, and people will have their view on exactly what that amounts to, and you've given us yours. To translate that onto the streets of the UK or onto Bondi Beach, how were the Jews on Bondi Beach responsible for the oppression of Palestinians as you see it in the Middle East? I mean, the answer is they're not, isn't it?
Well, first of all, I didn't say that.
No, I know you didn't. I know you didn't. I'm just trying to. I understand. No, let me speak for a moment, if you would. I understand that you didn't say that. What I'm saying to you is, when "Globalise the Intifada" is chanted repeatedly by the millions of people, not just in the UK but around the world, do you at least accept that there is a risk? I would argue it's more than a risk, but do you accept there is a risk that some people who feel very deeply for the Palestinian people, or indeed had a pre-existing beef with the West, will take that and run with it and commit violence?
Again, you are implying that globalize the intifada itself means go and kill people.
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you whether you accept that some people interpret it that way.
No, I'll answer that specific point because it is important. But the point about this is globalize the intifada means put pressure on your governments to tell Israel to stop what it's doing. That is really what it is. It doesn't actually say go and kill Jews or Brits or Christians or whatever. But the pro-Israel lobby turns this round to say that it means, oh, yes, it does. This is exactly what they do.
Well, can I just say, I'm not a member of any lobby. I'm not a member of any lobby. I'm a journalist asking you quite open questions. Well, what I would ask you, I know, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. What I would ask you is, I hear what you're saying about what Globalise the Intifada means. A couple of nights ago on BBC television, Jonathan Friedland, I'm sure you're aware of him, a journalist, a Guardian journalist who's Jewish, he said, if that's what it means, what you've just said it means, put pressure on your international governments, can we, the Jewish community, plead with you to say that instead? Because what we hear and what we experience is that it foments antagonism against us in our communities. Yeah. Can the protesters do that instead?
Well, first of all, can I tell you, I mean, genuinely and honestly, I've been on most of these marches. I personally have never heard Globalise the Intifada chanted.
It isn't only chanted, it's all over banners as well, which I have seen.
But in terms of what they're talking about, the police have been talking about chants, okay? It hasn't been chanted. From the river to the sea is chanted, and I think you know that again, the implication is it's about killing Jews. It's not. First of all, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Likud party, has it in its charter that Israel will is there from the river to the sea. So the issue is how to turn and twist things so they imply what the pro-Israel lobby once. I know you said you're not part of it, and you're asking the question. So let me be clear. What we should be focusing on is how to end this 80-year-old conflict. Banning a chant is not going to contribute to that. Will it help the Jewish community feel safer? I want the Jewish community to feel safer. I wrote an article people can Google for, which said, I want anti-Semitism in the UK eradicated and sanctions on Israel, because the two are mutually exclusive. You can sanction a country that commits war crimes, and at the same time, and I talk as a British Muslim of Palestinian origin, I stand with my Jewish brothers and sisters. And as you will know, and your listeners will know, on these marches, there's a Jewish bloc numbering sometimes. I remember at the peak, I used to see them come in when I sometimes was able to speak at these marches. 1,000 people were there. So it isn't that the whole Jewish community is troubled by this, but I can understand people feeling increasing concern.
And can I ask you, given that you have something of a leadership role in all of this, given that you're a writer, an analyst, and you've outlined your position on the plight of the Palestinian people, when you learn that in light of the marches and the momentum that campaign has achieved, and again, I honour what you've said, which is that you and others are saying keep the focus on this issue, to talk to your politicians and all of that. But when it turns into students on campuses screaming in the faces of their Jewish fellow students, when it turns into a student, and I know you're not responsible for every individual act, I'm just asking you to assess them. When it turns into a student trying to rally, succeeding in rallying another group of students to shout, Gaza, Gaza, make us proud, put the Zios in the ground, for which he has now been charged with racially aggravated offences, do you accept even a little bit that the temperature, the tone, some of the slogans, some of the banners, some of the chanting has contributed to that, or do you reject that?
No, I don't reject it. I think people have been really angry at what Israel has been doing. Absolutely angry, and they look at the politicians and they think they're not doing enough. And in a democracy, what else do? They protest, they write to their MPs. They now, some individuals, as happened with the two terrorist incidents, there were individuals who carried them out. It wasn't the whole.
Well, we'll see what the investigation reveals. We don't know yet what the investigation. It certainly wasn't the whole Palestinian people, of course not. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, but at the end of the day, there were two people who got up in the morning, decided to carry guns and go and kill. They're the people who should be condemned for what they've done. If they've been influenced by background, I bet you, and I'm prepared to bet. Yeah, I'm prepared to bet, and we will never know, that neither of these people were moved to do what they did because they heard the chant globalize the Intifada. Did you see what I mean?
I completely see what you mean, and we'll find out what motivated them and how deep their motivations were.
But my point is...
But they're two separate things, aren't they?
Can I just say, the point, and I will go back to it, not because I want to divert, we need to end the conflict. That is the thing that will bring all of this to an end. When you see Benjamin Netanyahu says there will be no Palestinian state, whereas the British government has recognized the Palestinian state. When you see settlers killing Palestinians at will, in connivance with the Israeli soldiers, when land is stolen, 19 new settlements. We need to end that. That's what the focus should be. And I mean that quite genuinely, because I care and I want to see peace. Okay. My mother, who was born before Israel was created, lives with me here in Birmingham. And I say that peace will come to the Holy Land when my mother can go back and live in Jerusalem, which is where she was born. You know, a Jewish lady from Birmingham can go and live in Palestine, because I live in a settlement, okay? Whereas my mother, who was born there, can't go back. This is the injustice that has to be solved. When we solve that injustice, there will be peace in the Holy Land.
Very good to talk to you. Thank you for joining me today, Professor Kamel Hawwash, Palestinian writer and analyst. And we had our own Fraser Knight explaining that story of the two police forces changing their policy, or saying they're changing their policy on arrests around certain slogans and chanting. Your thoughts now, 122.